Oh boy, guys, I am not one to agree with Scott Jennings on absolutely almost anything, but he has his analysis, his thoughts on the results from last night, and it is, I got to be honest, some pretty poignant ideas here. So let's go ahead and watch, and we'll talk about this a little bit.
This is a mandate. He's won the national popular vote for the first time for a Republican, for the first time since 2004. This is a big deal. This isn't backing into the office. This is a mandate to do what you said you were going to do. Get the economy working again for regular working class Americans, fix immigration, try to get crime under control, try to reduce the chaos in the world. This is a mandate from the American people to do that. I think I'm interpreting the results tonight as the revenge of just the regular old working class American, the anonymous American who has been crushed, insulted, condescended to. They're not garbage. They're not Nazis. They're just regular people who get up and go to work every day and are trying to make a better life for their kids, and they feel like they have been told to just shut up when they have complained about the things that are hurting them in their own lives. I also feel like this election, as we sit here and pour over this tonight, is something of an indictment of the political information complex. I mean, we've been sitting around here for the last couple of weeks, and the story that was portrayed was not true. I mean, we were told Puerto Rico was going to change the election. Liz Cheney, Nikki Haley voters, women lying to their husbands. Before that, it was Tim Walz and the camo hats. Night after night after night, we were told all these things and gimmicks were going to somehow push Harris over the line, and we were just ignoring the fundamentals. Inflation, people feeling like that they were barely able to tread water at best. That was the fundamentals of the election. And so I think that both parties should always look at the results of an election and figure out what went right and what went wrong. But I think for all of us who cover elections and talk about elections and do this on a day-to-day basis, we have to figure out how to understand, talk to, and listen to the half of the country that rose up tonight and said, we've had enough.
Oh man. I mean, everything he said there was right. Obviously, there's some hindsight involved, knowing the results that we know at this point. But yeah, I mean, the fact that Donald Trump is going to go ahead and win the popular vote, and by a pretty comfortable margin, it looks like, it says so much about how sick and tired people are of this political system, neoliberal, neoconservatism, neo anything and everything, that they're just done with it. And they will take the chaos candidate that actually was going out and purporting and putting a megaphone to the antithesis of that mo movement. And I think a lot about JD Vance and his messaging in the final days, and he's talked a big game about the American worker and moving issues forward and ending the wars and focusing back at home. And that was the message that Trump won with in 2016, and that he forgot and got away from in 2020, and that they came back feverishly strong with for this election. Um, Guys, Missouri passed the a minimum wage bill, a referendum. Missouri, one of the most deep red, Republican states in the country, passed a minimum wage bill, and it was like paid sick leave or protection. Um, Not once, guys, I pay attention to this stuff more than anybody. Kamala Harris didn't mention the minimum wage once during the course of her campaign. She didn't mention it once. She didn't mention it one time. She didn't mention paid family leave once. She didn't bring up, any of Tim Walz's populist policies that he won on with in Minnesota. She ran a corporatist milquetoast campaign that, like Scott Jennings says, was basically a coalescing of the establishment. Come here, Liz Cheney. Come here, establishment. Come here, Obama. Come here, Pelosi. Let's run on abortion and let that carry us to the finish line. But when people weighed economics versus the establishment and preserving this particular right for women that has been basically infringed upon in half the states, not all the states. People looked at their individual situation and called bullshit. And we, again, as Scott Jennings says, this political information complex that had me and to a lesser extent, but to definitely to an extent, but and every single pundit that was looking at this and saying, look at 2022 and look at the blue shift that's going to happen, the secret Kamala voter that's going to come out in droves and stand up for their rights. Um, we were over estimating the appeal that Kamala Harris would have, even with the little bit that we were, a little bit of credit that we were giving her. Um, Guys, we had a poll from the pinnacle of pollsters and Seltzer, the +3 Iowa poll that basically shook up the race at the end and had Democrats calling for an absolute landslide at the end here. She was wrong. She was off by 18%. Iowa looks like it's going to go to Trump by like 12 to 15 points. I don't know how you can be that wrong. Um, I don't know that I can ever trust a pollster ever again. Like, I don't know. And I have to say my apologies to Atlas Intel because I was talking a lot of shit about them. They were right. They were right. Now, again, they were right in 2020 and then they were wrong in 2022 and now they're right again in 2024. So there's going to be ups and downs with this. But I love looking at polling, but I don't know if I can do it again. I don't know if I can trust any of it because I don't know who's going to have their finger on the pulse. Americans are just unpredictable in a way. Um, that it's really difficult to say. Bill Maher was predicting this, he was wrong. Michael Moore was coming out and saying that he saw, he's seeing things clearly and that this is going to be the end of Trump. Michael Moore was unbelievably wrong, and he was the only one that's been right for the last like decade. Anthony Scaramucci, wrong. John Kelly, all the generals, wrong, wrong. Mark Milley, all these people, calling that saying that the fascist fears, which again, I've been saying those things for longer than anybody, and I have those concerns, and I pray that the foundations and the guardrails are going to be there to hold Trump in place. Um, but wrong. Alan Lichtman and his famous keys, wrong. Just, nothing there. Kyle Kalinske, I'm a fan of secular talk. He was saying that his most conservative case for this election was a Kamala win by like 6 to 10 electoral votes. He had in one of his cases, in his bullish case, he had Kamala winning Florida. Kamala is going to lose Florida by like 15 points, by like the same margin that DeSantis won in 2022. Hilariously wrong. Um, we were thinking, we were hoping that the ecosystem, the space that we were seeing on Twitter and the discussion there was just this sort of right-wing algorithm bias that was pumping all this drivel out. Maybe not. I mean, maybe to a degree, but apparently that's where the country's at. They are done with it. They are done, and it's again, it's not to say they're done with populist, economic ideas. Minimum wage is winning. Paid family leave and paid sick leave is winning. School lunches is a winning issue. She didn't talk about any of it. All she talked about was the most lethal fighting force in the world, and I'm gonna have Liz Cheney in my cabinet, and I'm not sure what we're gonna do about Israel and Gaza, and we're gonna keep funding Ukraine, and things are going to go on as business as usual, and maybe I have some plans about price gouging that I'm probably not going to do, and housing down payment that I'm probably not going to get through Congress or even fight for. So people just they just said, you know what, let's burn it down again. Let's do something different. Let's go with the populist maniac, and the anything can happen side of it, and basically fuck you to everybody in the Democratic establishment. So again, back to the Scott Jennings stat. Again, I don't agree with him on almost anything, but knowing what we know now, it's a spot on take, and the panel there was pretty much enraptured, and I can't disagree. The political information complex was not seeing it right, and here we are, and I'll leave it at that. Let me know what you guys think, and see you guys later.